Peace, love, and lights. I want to do a quick Zodiac update. I want to talk about my transition from Scorpio to Sagittarius. Scorpio altogether was a very mystical month. Like, there was a lot of things centering around, like, the third eye. Like, I got a lot of information about the third eye and just different things about the third eye. And I can understand why Scorpios are very, like, mystical, and there's, like, a lot of mystery around Scorpios and why they're so mysterious. But yeah, like, I got a lot of information about the third eye, the in relation to what it actually is, and it kind of gave me insight into Sagittarius and maybe even Capricorn, because what I'm noticing is that like certain zodiac signs can predict the next few zodiac signs. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of what I got from Scorpio, because around, I want to say Halloween, I started getting, well, a little bit before Halloween, I started getting information about the third eye and how it's connected to the Sephiroth, I believe it's called, and how it looks kind of like a bunch of dots flickering at once. Well, not necessarily at once. They flicker different. They flicker at different times, but they do it in a distinct pattern. So, and the distinct pattern is the Sephiroth. And so I was getting that information around Halloween, and it was during like the beginning part of Scorpio. But and then a lot of information came about like different things dealing with like darkness, and how Scorpio is a feminine month, and we're going into a very feminine period, as far as it being like a period that's in like darkness, a period that is unknown, a period that is um not earthly, if that makes sense. It's not a physical thing, it's more of a spiritual thing, which is what came that which is what made sense during Scorpio, or which is the information that that came in Scorpio. Don't know why I felt the need to say that a bunch of times, but it's just what happened in Scorpio. I was getting a lot of information about it being like a time of darkness, and the darkness is not necessarily bad. It's just associated with the unknown, with spiritual things that we don't necessarily know about, we don't necessarily see on a regular day-to-day basis. So it could be like scary for some people, but if you're actually paying attention to it, and you're really going in it and going through it, you can actually see that it's more than something that is to be feared or afraid of. It's way more than that, because fear is irrational, which is something that I've already said. But at the center, at the core, at the source of all the illusion, there's an actual real thing that we should be seeking, and and that thing that we should be seeking is what needs to be uncovered, and that's the thing that needs to be known. It's like the goal that I was talking about when you go through your mind. That's the goal that we need to find, and that's what and that's the goal that we need to find. That's the thing that's in darkness. That's the thing that is unknown, and that's what Scorpio really taught me. But but coming out of Scorpio, there was, I want to say, for like the last 3 days of Scorpio leading into Sagittarius, there was this very self-sabotage energy that I was picking up, and I couldn't really figure out where it was coming from. Then I want to say maybe like the last day of it, like right before we got into Sagittarius, I read something on Twitter from I can't know, I don't know how to pronounce her name now, because she changed her name. Like the end of Scorpio, which is so funny, because during Scorpio, I actually decided on a name for myself. It was like the beginning of Scorpio. I decided on a name for myself that I wanted to be called, or to call myself, as far as like my spiritual name, my spiritual birth. Like, and that's the time when you name yourself. Like, you go by your name that you were born by up until your spiritual birth. Like, your physical birth is you get named by your mother, but your spiritual birth you name yourself. And the name that I want to call myself from now on is a seed, which is a part of the name. But that's the name that I've been telling people so far. And the other part of the name is one that is a part that I'm still working on, but I think I'm gonna go with it. But I'm gonna I think I'm gonna go with it, but I'm gonna spend a little bit more time like figuring out how I want it to be spelled, said as in pronounced, and so on and so forth. But then the name that I wanted to be called was a seed. I don't remember if I said it just now, but the name is a seed, and I'll explain the meaning of it later. But going back to what I was saying, like the person that really helped me to understand that the self-sabotage energy that was going on with inside of myself was Manny. I don't know how to say her name. It was Manny, and she was talking about how it was because Scorpio was in Venus, and that causes a lot of self-sabotage energy to awaken, I want to say, or come about. But I want to say in the last day or so, I was thinking about how there's always like a transition between the different zodiacs, like the energy shifts. And for some reason, I feel like the zodiac wants to detach from one sign to another, or not necessarily wants to, it has to detach from one sign to another. And the energies that you picked up in the previous sign may carry over, but there is a part between the zodiacs where you shed and where you're stripped of the particular energies or certain energies associated with the preceding zodiac that leads into the following zodiac. And for Scorpio, that was Scorpio and Venus, where I was getting a lot of signs to really be myself and to really love myself and to really love who I am and who I've become and all the things that I've uncovered, thus far on my journey. And then the last 3 days of Scorpio, I was really faced with a lot of self-sabotage energy that I really didn't identify with, but I identified. And the first day of Sagittarius, which was, I want to say either the first or second day because it was 11/22 and 11/23 that I'm referring to, where I was able to interview, or technically we just had a conversation because she interviewed me and I interviewed her. So technically it was more like a conversation where we were just talking about spiritual things, and it was a really great conversation. Like from the moment that I walked into her apartment, we had great conversation until the moment I left, and we pretty much talked nonstop. And that's very rare for me, considering that I'm a very quiet person, or I've been a very quiet person up until a certain point. I want to say I've been more vocal this year than I have been in pretty much all my life. But that's a really good thing. That's a big sign of growth. But aside from that, I also have been talking to the Walking Staff 99, which is a guy that I follow on Instagram, and he's making a staff for me. And the reason why it's important is because he's also a Sagittarius, and she's a Sagittarius too. He's also a Sagittarius, and his birthday was, I think, the 23rd, which I didn't know until she told me because they know each other as well. But he's making a staff for me, and I'm hoping, or we're hoping actually, it's a mutual thing, that he can get the staff made in the time of Sagittarius, in the Sagittarius season, so I can have my actual staff made by Sagittarius in the season of Sagittarius, and my moon is a Sagittarius. I think that's just the biggest dope. I think that's the dopest thing ever because it just means so much to me. It just it just means so much to me, and I really hope that he can get it done in that time because I would really appreciate that. But aside from that, I think Sagittarius is going to be a very interesting and fulfilling time because just the energies that I've felt already let me know that there's going to be a lot of good during this time. And I don't know what it will reveal or rather unveil, but I'm looking forward to it because Sagittarius is my moon, and what the moon represents is the light in the darkness. So as the moon becomes more full and all all the things that are not seen during the new moon will be seen at the full moon, and yeah, all the things in darkness will be illuminated in a different way. And I really am looking forward to whatever it brings about.